Hello, this is Irene with jamplay.com. This time it's going to be combining funk and rock. It's all the things we've learned so far in a kind of mixed style. So let me go ahead and play again, as usual, the riff with the backing track at full speed, and let's go ahead then and break it down. Great, so that was the riff for this week. We're in F sharp minor, F sharp blues, if you like to think about it like that. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the technique, as we kind of know it already. It's the same thing we did last week, which was a skank picking or single note funk picking. Now this time we moved to the lower register to make it sound more like a rock riff. And but yeah, we still use that wide motion from the wrist on the right hand. Remember, again, like last time, you don't want to be covering all 6 strings of the guitar when you do this type of picking. Firstly, because there's no time at this speed at least, and secondly, because you don't want to create unnecessary noise. Always remain around 3 or 4 strings of the notes you want to hit. Okay, now I'm going to show everything with simple picking, like down-up picking, as if we were not using this type of strumming, and then I'll apply the funk picking. So yes, this is a rock riff. I'm going to go straight ahead to part A, and I'll play it with all the strokes as notated. This is a single note line. This is an F sharp note in 2 places, on the 4th fret of the D string and on the 2nd fret of the low E string. Same note. I suggest using fingers 4 on the D string and 1 on the low E string. But if it feels more comfortable with the 3rd finger on the D string, you can do that. Remember, when you use the 4th finger, you have more fingers for muting, and it's essential for this type of picking, like we mentioned last time. So one more time again, this is again 16th notes. I'm going to talk about this rhythm a little bit because it might be tricky for some of you, because it's all on the on the pushed 16th notes, at least after beat 2 onwards. So the picking is down, up, as in the default 16th note environment, and we are releasing pressure from the left hand when in the rests, because otherwise there's no time to mute from this right hand. So I'll show that again even slower one more time, so you see what happens with the left hand. Right, 3, 4 E and down. Okay, that would have been if I played the same rhythm in a single note in the low F sharp. What it actually does, it has this high F sharp. Let me do it again. 3 E and 4 E and down. I'll put the click in a second. One more time. 3 E and 4 E and all these push notes are upstrokes simply because the 2nd and the 4th 16th note of a group of 4 are played with upstrokes. And I'm going to play that with the click, applying the funk picking. Let's do it at 60. One, 2, 3 E and 4 E and without the picking, the strumming, and if you want to start practicing like that, and with the funk picking. 2, 3, 4. Okay, even though my right hand goes up and down, it might look like it's going for all the strings. It's not, because because I'm playing on the three low strings, I'm making sure that the pick is kind of traveling outwards when it goes down, so that it doesn't hit the high strings. There's no need, unless you want more noise in this more like muted content. That's if I go for digging into all 6 strings. What I personally like the most is so I'm kind of avoiding the high strings for now, because I've got another part that goes in the high strings in B section. Right. So this is part 1. This is bar 1, I'm sorry, and played with the funk picking. I'm gonna go to bar 2, which is the same thing, but it just has a chord at the end. So if you look at it, beats 1 and 2 are exactly the same. I just have something different going on for beats 3 and 4. So if it helps you, again, you can go with 1E and a 2E, and you can write those down underneath if you print this tab out, if it helps you. Otherwise, just follow the down up picking as notated. So bar 2 is what? I'm just going to play beats 1 and 2 of bar 2. So same thing. With the funk picking and one more time, and so see, it sounds like a chord and riff at the same time. I personally love that sound. I'm gonna move on to beats 3 and 4. I'm going to an E5, and again, because the speed is high here, we have a little muted X marked with an X note, a percussive note. This has no pitch. It's just like a dead strum on the close by strings. So what does it do? It has a rest for a 16th note on beat 3, and then it plays on the second 16th note and on the third with an 8th note, which then ties on to beat 4. So that sounds, it's easier played than described actually. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and so that E, that 3E, the second 16th note after 3 with the X is played with an upstroke, the E power chord with a downstroke. And I'm playing just 2 notes, low E open and fret 2 on the A string for the E5. Now let me put bar 2 together with a click, or without a click first actually. So let's see, it goes 3, 4 E and sorry, 3 E and 4 E and let's go with a click. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, that's with a standard picking. I'm showing it with a standard picking with my right hand leaning on the guitar, just so you get used to it. We don't want to play it like that. It doesn't sound like that. It's with an open strumming position, which I'm going to show right now. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Why don't I put together beats, bars 1 and 2, same tempo. Let's do them a few times. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. And this is great for tightening up your upstrokes. It is a little challenging, but it's worth it. It will make your upstrokes sound very dynamic. And that's where the accent is on this riff anyway. It's on those pushed 16th notes. Now, what happens on bar 3? Bar 3 is the same as bar 1, right? So no need to go too deeply into that. I'm just going to go straight to bar 4, and then I'm going to put all those together. Bar 4 again, if you notice, beats 1 and 2 are again exactly the same as bar 2, beats 1 and 2. The only change is on the last 16th note before beat 3. And that is in bar 4. If you notice, there is a B5 and an A5 chord. Just before that B5 chord, there is an X note marked, well, it's a percussive note. This is picked just as a ghost note to get us into this chord. So I'll show the chords, which are easy. It's B power chord and A power chord. This is set A, D, and G strings. So B5 would be frets 2, 4, and 4. Fingers 1, 3, 4. And then A5, A power chord would be open string, frets 2, 2. I play those with a little bar with the first finger, so these are downstrokes. And this is what happens if I put together the so it's the same thing as before, but instead of playing an E power chord, I'm playing 2 chords. B power chord and A power chord, 1/4 each. Slightly easier, so let me show that slowly. 3, 4, and and if you notice, that last note is specifically made to be a dead note or a percussive note, because otherwise there's no time to pick that F sharp, the low F sharp, and go into the chords. And there's no point in doing that anyway, because it's too fast to be heard. So you just want the feel of the 16th note going into something new. And that's exactly what this is doing. So one more time, 3, 4. It's like a preparation note. I want to put everything together, and I'll put it slightly slower at 50. I'll do the whole thing at 50 so you can see, concentrate on what both hands are doing, because this is more or less what's going to happen in part B. It's the same thing, just on a higher register. I'll show you in a little while. So let's go to 50 and play those first 4 bars. 2, 3, 4. Notice how I'm releasing pressure every time there's a rest from the left hand. This is in sync with what's happening with the right hand, of course, the dead notes. I'll do this one more time with without the skank picking. For anyone who's finding it hard to follow, or there's a lot of noise and you're not liking what you hear, let's just play it with single notes, same picking exactly, just to hear it. So 2, 3, E and 4, E and And again, properly. 3, 4. Very nice sounding funk and rock at the same time. I've put some more drive this time, and I'm using my treble pickup to make it sound more rocky, obviously, and get a bit more of the high end in, because we're also on the bass notes, so we kind of want that. I've put the drive to about 6, 7. You can experiment with your own amp. I didn't make it too heavy, too much distortion, because I want to keep this funk rock sound. If you think about bands like Extreme, I think Nuno Bettencourt is one great example of a player who has this type of tone, and playing, of course, this funk and rock mixed together. And this riff, the one we just played, is actually a lot like one of my original riffs in my first record. It's called Martial Arts and Magic Tricks. You can feel free to check it out and get some ideas. Now, let's move to part B. This is an F sharp 7, sharp 9 chord, implied at least, because we're playing the high notes. This is bar 5, and frets 5 on B and high E strings. Where's the root now? We're using fret 4, the D string again, and I'm gonna suggest that you use just the fourth finger for the little chord, the double stop, which is frets 5 again on B and E strings, and finger 3 for that low root, the F sharp on the D string. The rest of the fingers need to be used for muting, right? So how is that going to be? This is exactly the same rhythm as bar 1, just in a different register. We have replaced this F sharp with this high part of F sharp 9, F sharp 7, sharp 9. That would be the whole chord. I'm just using the 2 high notes and playing them with one finger. And I've replaced the low F sharp with the F sharp on the D string. And that goes like this. This is actually easier for muting because we've got 2 fingers taking care of this business. How does that work? You just lay them flat on all the strings, and you're just covering the noise from the extra strings. And this is now combining a double stop and a single note. So let's do it again. 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. So where I had, now I've got, it's like a variation of this part. If you want to build it up, this is where it goes to a higher octave. And then second bar is the same thing as, well, sorry, that's bar 6. It's the same concept as bar 2, but it's just again moved 1 octave higher, and we've got the E5 happening here instead of here. So if you look at bar 6, the very last chord, E power chord, is using fret 2 on the D string and fret 4 on the G string. I mean, again, it's the very same picking, same strokes, same exact rhythm pattern, but it's just replacing that F sharp with the F sharp 7, sharp 9, double stop. So it's like, my second finger is doing the muting for the very last beat, and obviously first and second for the rest of the bar, because It's not used anywhere. So whatever fingers you don't use from the left hand to play some fretted notes, usually they will go towards helping you mute. Definitely in this style. I'm gonna put these two bars together with the click at 50 again. Let's see how they sound. 3, 4. Two, 3, 4. And one last time with like a standard picking without the skank funk picking, just in case you're not able to hear it properly yet. So 3, 4. Sounds a lot less, you know, dynamic and weak, you know, whereas when we use that funk picking, immediately becomes so rhythmic, groovy, and, you know, simple, but great in its simplicity. Right, bar 7 then. Same thing again as bar 5, apart from a very cool and flashy, if you like, rhythmic fill at the end. So if you look at bar 7, it goes. This is a bit challenging to show slow, but I'll do my best to explain it. I mean, the thing here is that we've got the same for the first 3 beats, and then for the last beat, we've got a rhythm that uses 30-second notes. So beat 4 would be 3, 4, 4. This is up, down, up, down. I don't want to go too deeply into counting this. I'll just play it a number of times because I might end up confusing you. So I'll just play it very many times slow, so you just memorize it. I'll count it in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So it's up, down, and it goes right after 4 on the second 16th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And those last notes are just percussive notes, just as a rhythmic fill to go to the next bar. Let me play the whole thing for bar 7 so you could get an idea how it fills in. So 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. These notes are so not quiet, but not so obviously spelled in the mix, because it's in the actual tempo. You'll hear it's quite fast. The point is to just get it to the next in a more interesting way. So if I connected with beat 1 of bar 8, this is going to be 3, 4. Let me count it from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll play these 2 bars together actually, because like I said, it is a bit challenging to show slow. It doesn't have the same feel as it has on the actual tempo when I'm playing those together. So what does it do in bar 8? It does the same thing as before, but it just adds 2 new chords. So I'm not going to worry about those now. I'm just going to play beats 1 and 2 of bar 8 to join it with bar 7. So bar 8 goes... But interestingly, the first chord, it doesn't get played with a downstroke, it goes with an upstroke. That's not the default picking, but this is what feels natural after doing this fast rhythmic fill before it. I'll show what I mean. So 3, 4. I think I'll play the whole thing slow, so you can hear it. This is definitely a bit more technical. Let's go at 50. Bar 7 and 8, but from 8 we'll play the first 2 beats. 2, 3, 4. Again, 3, 4. Again, 3, 4. I want you to notice, I stopped it there because I want you to pay attention to what happens in bar 8. My right arm goes quite a lot higher up. So it goes... just because it helps me come down to the normal down-up picking. Because this would be a downstroke normally, so my arm, my right hand would go down, up, still, even though it's not playing all the 16th notes, this is the motion. But now, I've done something kind of unorthodox, so I need more time. So that's why I'm doing a very long upstroke, very wide upstroke if you like, to be able to come back on the downbeat, on the downstroke actually, of these 2 16th notes on beat 1 end of bar 8. So I'll show it again, bear these things in mind. I'm going from beat 4 of bar 7 into beat 1 of bar 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Just check out my right hand, and I'll do no more talking, because it is a hard part to get right, but if you get the feel for it, it then kind of locks into your body. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And with a click, I think it will be helpful. 3, actually. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. If you look at it, it's as if time stops on that unexpected upstroke on bar 8. It doesn't, but like I said, I explained how it works in order to get back to the 16th note groove on your right hand. It's like tricking your right hand a bit. And then what happens? We've got 2 new chords on beats 3 and 4 of bar 8. This is the same place where before we had B5 and A5. Now we've got... This is a standard shape for D7, which is frets 5 on the D, 5 on the A string, 4 on the D, 5 again on the G string, and I'm using fingers 2, 1, and 3. And the same thing happens for C sharp 5, which is everything 1 fret below. D7 to C sharp 7. Back to an F sharp 5. Just the root with a bit of an accent, so. Let me put bars 7 and 8 and 9 together with a click. 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. Three, 4. Okay, I'm not going to be able to show that with the standard picking with my right hand because it's based very much on this strumming shape. So I hope you have got like the idea for it by now. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the whole thing once with a metronome. The most challenging part about this riff is the continuous upstrokes, because most of us are not used to play upstrokes. We usually concentrate on the downstrokes because they're easier, they feel more like steady in the rhythm, whereas the upstrokes, sometimes we don't know exactly where they are. So this is a great example, a great riff to get your rhythm understanding a lot better with 16th notes, and also combine funk into a more rock environment. So let me play the whole thing with a click at 50, and then I'll go ahead and play everything with a backing track. I'm sure you've got loads of questions, and I'm actually looking forward to those. For now, let's play the whole thing. 50 BPM. 2, 3, 4. Perfect. I'm going to play that with a backing track now. I've got, again, 2 slower speed backing tracks. Let's start with 75. All right, 95, 20 BPM up. And the last one, this is going to be the original tempo, 110 BPM. I hope you've enjoyed this week's funk rock picking. This might be one of my favorite styles personally, so I'm waiting for your questions in a little while, and let's hear this one more time. Thank you for your focus and concentration once more. brilliant. Well done, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in a little while. I'll answer your questions and then see you next week with something different. I was Irene Katkiri with jamplay.com, Riffs and Rhythm Live course. I'll see you next week. Take care. Hello, I'm back for your questions for this week number 5 on funk, combining funk and rock lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. That was had a bit more drive on, and like last times. So let's have a look at the questions so far. Can you give some tips for stretching your pinky to hit the sharp 9 chord? I have to lift my other fingers off the fretboard from the lower notes. I have to lift my other fingers off the fretboard. I'm not sure what the second part means, but I mean, practicing with playing this chord with the pinky is the same as practicing with any other finger, you know, like you would do a major chord like this, like you would do with the third finger. You can try if you want to do the same thing with the fourth finger. This is a bit more extreme, but it will get you used to this type of positioning, because you know the fourth finger doesn't naturally do that type of thing, because when you bar you kind of angle your finger like that so that it can press as many fingers as many strings as possible, but this one doesn't naturally want to do it by itself without help. So perhaps you can just help it with the first finger and try to play a bar chord like this, like a C major. It feels weird, but it kind of gets your fourth finger used to this type of pressure for getting ready to play these 2 strings only. 2 strings is okay, 3 is, you know. But if you do the 3, you're good for the 2. I hope this is what you mean. Would you say the funk picking is a lot about attitude? Yes, definitely it is about attitude, because you're giving a lot of dynamic to the note. It's not aggressive, it's like you say, I think this is the right word, attitude, because it just livens the note up, you know, where you play. It's all about, like I said, not aggression, not doing, because you could do that too, but it doesn't stand out as much. Whereas the other one is kind of, you know, kinky sounding. I don't know, I think that word also describes it. So yeah, definitely about the attitude. So how can you move this from 50 up to 110, the riff? The rhythmic run at the end of measure 7 particularly seems difficult at higher speeds. Yes, that one is challenging. Remember, it's sometimes it's not about practicing slow. Actually, this bit, for example, you wouldn't really practice it with a metronome for a lot of the time, so you would just get used to the motion. So I would go. It sometimes might work out easier if you play it at the actual speed, but just get used to the mechanics. So this goes. But because it's such a small motion, you might want to just try and blag it, even if it doesn't sound perfect at the actual speed, without a metronome. Just see how quick you can do this motion even without playing anything here. So just, because it's so fast, literally, there's no time to it's not like I'm gonna sit down, because the strumming is not as defined. Yeah, it's very short, so very thin, not wide. It's also, so it's something that I wouldn't be able to do it at this tempo at 110 for a long time, this motion. So it's just for this quick bit. So literally try as fast as you can without playing anything here, and then try to time it, to groove it. So I wouldn't really take this with a metronome. Try without a metronome and just try it as fast as you can, then try to put it into the groove, because literally that's what it is. Okay, Sounded awesome. You're really good. You play real clean. I'm impressed. Okay, thank you very much. I like that you like it. Yes. It's clean and dirty at the same time. This is the point with this type of funk picking. That's why I like it, because it gets dirty. It gets that dirty sound, but it's not sloppy, you know? So it needs quite a lot of practice for this. Next one. Can you talk about how you're holding your pick? My fingers hit the strings in a painful way. I've been there, my friend. And my pick keeps flying out of my hand. Okay, now for the last bit, I would really like to suggest these picks to you. These are the Dunlop Ultex Sharp 0.90. So the good thing about those, I mean, regardless of the width, it can be, you know, thicker or thinner. They don't slip out of your fingers very easily, like the Jazz 3 or any other picks, because of the material. So try those, you know, try those if you can. You'll definitely see a difference. I did switch to those because of exactly what you're saying. And then the second thing, when your fingers hit the strings, it probably means that you're holding, so this is a good question actually, it probably means you're holding the pick too close to the tip of the pick. Maybe you're doing this, so then there's not enough space for the pick to go into the string, so you end up, you know, pushing your fingers in too. So try to pull it out a bit. So this is where you would probably, I mean, how I hold it at least. If you look at it, I hope it's clear. There's about, I would say from the index finger to the tip of the pick, there's definitely about, might be 1 centimeter actually. See, I mean, this is how far away it is. If you're here, yeah, this is ouch, and I've done this. So try to pull out your index a bit, you know, further out, so that the string hits the pick, but not your finger. I hope it makes sense. So thank you. That was an excellent. I mean, all of those were excellent questions, and thank you for the nice words. This is very, very nice and great. Thank you for enjoying it. I'll see you on the next one with something cool as usual. Take care.